Hey, there we go. It's Make Better, everyone. Coming to you a day late because yesterday was just a shitstorm. It was it snowed where we are, and so I ended up not going to work. Which, by the way, I know I've said this before about it's like comparing apples to oranges, where the my retail job versus my current one, but it just made me remember why I got to wait now. Of course, so Lila loud, everybody. She's gonna make background noises as soon as the camera gets turned on. She waits patiently until Daddy starts the feed. Anyway, so yeah, previous times in retail that we would get a storm going. We would be like, okay, there's nobody in the store. The roads are extremely dangerous. We'd like to close the store early, and then corporate would hem and haw until it was closing time anyway. And the time that it really drove it home was when the corporate guy that decided about us closing early was supposed to actually come in for an inspection. He was supposed to walk the store. And so not only didn't he let us shut down early, but he also did the inspection through a Zoom call. So it was clearly too dangerous for him to show up to the store, but not too dangerous for us to try and close and, get safely to our homes and stuff. It's just such hypocritical bullshit and so obvious. And it's just like, you really are just such a number. And, I can't believe that I was brainwashed for almost 10 years into believing that, you can rise in the ranks. Don't raise in the ranks. No. Job hop from business to business. And the way to do it is you just, apply someplace else that's offering more. And then if you get it, tell the current job that, hey, I got this other job that pays more. So you can either beat their price or this is my 2 weeks. And you just keep doing that until you get paid what you think you deserve, which, I wish I could be getting paid my age per hour would be nice. And it's barely more than half that. So I'm definitely not doing something right. And that was probably from, wasting all that time staying with the same business that did not give a crap. So anyway, the difference between that job and this one was I called, my boss just to, make sure, because I wasn't sure. Also, yesterday was Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and the new job does do a lot of the, widely recognized holidays off, so I wasn't sure if that one counted. So I was like, snowstorm, MLK Jr., let's just check. And so, yeah, she was just like, yeah, I am going to be at the shop, but mostly because I live, less than 2 minutes away, and I'm just going to be fielding phone calls because I assume I'm going to get a lot of people calling to say, hey, I'm stuck in my driveway. Hey, I can't make it out. So she was just basically there just to, make sure that anybody that did show up, wasn't just shut out in the cold, and anybody that didn't, would not be a no call, no show. Anyway, so I basically get the message that, the roads are junk. So if you don't feel comfortable coming in, then don't. So what I planned to do was to, because it's just the shortest detour, I plan to just do, bring her, Lila the Loud, who finally quieted down. Thank you, baby girl. And so I was going to take her to daycare because it's a very slight detour, and then that way, um, my love wouldn't have to go all the way home to let her out during lunch, and then all the way back in the snowstorm. So I get not even halfway to the main road. There's this awkward four-way spot where you kind of like go up, up a tiny bit of a hill to the four-way stop, and usually if the roads are that bad, I'll just keep on going. But in this case, there was a car coming the other direction, so I had to stop. And then even with my four-wheel drive on, I wasn't able to keep on going. And so once I saw that it was that bad in that spot, and knowing how hilly, even just the driveway of the doggy daycare is, much less the rest of the ride to work, I was like, nope. Gonna try again. Maybe if they plow the back roads, which no, most of the time I can push through. So I usually just come back home after a day of work, and the back roads are already plowed. I now realize for the first time just how bad they do it for our area. So I get home, I explain what happened. Boss says, "Hey, not a problem at all." Again, very far different from the retail experience. And so I basically just spend the entire day trying to keep up with shoveling out the porch. It's not a great. The porch isn't in great shape anyway. We have to replace it soon, but I don't know how much a couple inches of snow is going to make a difference of. But so I basically kept the porch clean we bought some carports, and so it was the sticky, wet, kind of snow. So they kept on just piling on and having like the top kind of bow in, and so I had to keep on poking the snow off of the top of it, um, and shoveling, and it was really windy too, so it was like blowing in. So basically, I was like, inside to warm up and outside, shoveling and knocking the carports and all that stuff, pretty much the whole day. Around 2:30, I think. A truck went by with the plow down, and I don't think it was the town's truck. I think it was just somebody that was sick of it still having not been plowed. But what they did, and this is the infuriating part, so they drove in one way straight in the middle of the road, and then they came back the other way on the opposite side of the road. So basically, there was still a couple of yards worth of snow between my driveway and the actual road. And if we don't completely dig out the path to the mailbox, they're not going to deliver mail. So I've been shoveling up to that point. So I was just like, okay, the heck with this. Let's try and wrestle the snowblower into life. So I get that finally running because it was just it was being a little ornery in the cold. And then it was just like that heavy, 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 wet, snow. So it basically just kept clogging every 5 seconds. So I was like, this is worse than just shoveling. But by that point, my back had it. So, yeah. Long story short, I never got a. Once I finally got all the shoveling that I was gonna do that day, and called it a day. I basically just grabbed a glass of wine and didn't want to do anything else. Thankfully, we had a hot pot ready to go, so I didn't have to worry too much about dinner prep. And yeah, I just got good and sauced. I was pretty tipsy by the time my love got home, and so it was a day. So that's how come this is coming to you a day late. But yeah, fun times, good adventure. So I don't know about the rest of you, but it's funny that as the economy slowly goes down the toilet, it's costing like basically $100 to do a quick trip to the store. Not even the main shopping trip, but just a quick trip to the store where it's just like, okay, I gotta grab wine, I gotta grab milk, I gotta grab let's see, maybe some ground meat. What the heck else do I need? Oh yeah, 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 we're low on this. And you get to the front and it's almost $100. And you're like, this is just a quick I went into the express lane. This is a quick express lane trip and it's almost $100. So as it gets worse and worse with that, I find that her and I have been watching more and more um, survival shows where basically, they just like Alone, or they just dump them off somewhere and they got to rough it. And by the end of it, like, so some of them have to tap out early. Others, like, by the time they're done, they have enough food and wood stockpiled, and they're just like starting to like, all right, well, I guess I'll carve spoons. I guess I'll take some wood and some of my fishing string and make like a little stringed instrument and stuff. Um, it's pretty easy to romanticize just being out in the woods and just not having to deal with all the bull crap. Like one of them was like the boonies, and there's people that really live in isolation. Like there was this one guy that actually like lived in a cave system, and the owner of the land gave him permission to live there as long as he just chased off any trespassers. And you start those shows and it's like pretty romantic. You're just like, man, why don't we just do that? Why don't we just like get really good about that? And oh my god, like I grew up as a Boy Scout, so we would always pride ourselves in being able to start a fire with just one single match. Shouldn't need any additional, like one single match. Ideally, no paper, because paper's cheating. So it's pouring Boy Scout water on it, which is can't remember if that's kerosene or gasoline. That old joke, just pour some water on the fire. So you're supposed to be able to do it just from natural ingredients, one single match. And so you have these people out there using like flint and steel, or even worse, like the rubbing method. And I don't know what it is, but there's something so satisfying. But I don't know if you've ever seen either of those, either the friction method or the flint and steel. But the moment from when they get an ember going, and then they have the nest in their hand, they start carefully blowing on it, and then the fire starts, and then they can put down some sticks on it. One of the most satisfying things to watch. I never get sick of seeing somebody start a fire that way. There's something just like all that effort, just for something that you can just reach into your pocket and then boom, like that flame right there. would take about 2 hours to accomplish outside in the wilderness. And so it's romantic. But then when you have a day like the shoveling day from hell and stuff, where it's just like I could go inside. I had a fire going, but if I didn't, obviously the heat would have kicked in, and so like there's definitely a you know when you get the rose colored glasses on, it's like, well, don't forget if you were out there and it was a day like this. I mean, you'd still have to shovel. Like, just because you're living in a cabin out in the woods, it's like you still have to shovel. You still have to be able to get around. Like clear a path, get around. I mean, and you wouldn't even have probably a proper shovel in that case. I mean, you'd have to be using like some friggin' pine branch. So, um, it's something like where I can see somebody just getting so sick of society and stuff that just doesn't seem to be getting better. As the days go by, poor keep getting poorer, rich keep getting richer. The environment's going to crap, and so um, that's a good point too. It's just like if I had to build a fire every day, is that more or less of a carbon footprint than me having to drive a half hour to work? I don't know. Either way, I still seem to have a carbon footprint no matter what I do. So you know, yeah, I definitely and I mentioned it before, but it's like I definitely want to get better about you know, trying to grow and hunt my own food, especially as the grocery store prices rise. And it's also just like being able to have that connection to the food, and also knowing that uh, it isn't as processed as some of the other stuff. Anyway, so that's basically for right now. I'm content to um, not get too rusty with building a fire from not much, and then doing the watching the survival shows. But um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know, especially like with the weather going crazy. It's just like, what if that would have been a good idea before? Because like for instance, in the Boonies one, like they clearly thought about where they were going to be going to, and yet they had this wildfire that got almost that actually destroyed one of the supply catches, and almost got to the well, it's a bunch of different families that they follow, but this one family was living in a treehouse, and fire almost destroyed the treehouse. So it's one of those where it's like, what if that was the perfect woods to build your treehouse in? But now that the environment's getting so crazy, now instead of it being just the summer season, it's now the wildfire season. Like that didn't used to be a thing. I'm pretty sure in that area. So yeah, I don't know what to do. I hope that we fix it before it's too late, because we don't have a backup plan as of yet, and if we do, the rich people aren't telling us about it, and they're not going to bring us with them. So, let's see, what's a good note to end on, because that's kind of depressing. Yeah, I got some vacation time coming up, so I'm going to be able to see, some of my friends and fam from Mass, so that's exciting, so I can't wait. Really looking forward to that. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Alton Brown, but he's this chef that he's in a couple shows like what do you call it, like Samurai Chef or Kitchen Night. I can't remember, but he's had his own show as well. He's quite funny. If the most of the people that probably even pay attention to this, all two of you. Probably if you're a fan of Hot Ones, you'd know him from the Hot Ones one, because, um, you know, yes, Gordon Ramsay's was the funnier of the two, because Ramsay's like squirting lime juice and all sorts of stuff on the hot sauce, but Alton Brown, who's also a head chef, but happens to love hot sauce. His was fun because he's like ranking the sauces, like and never seeming to really get too um, his butt kicked too bad by the hot sauces. But he was also smart, and he brought his own stuff like half and half, because he says the only thing to give you just a taste, like his kind of humor is like well, there's only two things that can help with heat, and that's either cream or liquor, which I'm quite disappointed that nobody's offered me tequila shots on the production or something along the lines. I butchered it, but anyway. So he has this live show that's coming, where it's supposed to be, some parts comedy, some parts food, some parts interaction with the audience. Where I'm sure he's going to have you try something hot or something. I don't know, but it's probably going to be a good time, and so that's something to look forward to. So yeah, you know, get to be a hermit for a couple of years, and that was fun. But definitely look forward to doing some social stuff. Definitely want to catch a comedy show or two or three or four coming up soon, because all the people who podcast that I've been listening to are getting back out on the road. Not many of them get close to this area, which stinks. It's usually, like I keep on hearing, it's like, yeah, so I'm coming to Austin. I'm coming to, Austin, Boston, and wherever the heck. So it's rarely in the areas that it gets cold. They don't want to come to the cold places when it gets cold, which I don't blame them. I mean, if I was a touring comic, I would, you know, kind of be like a snowbird with my tour dates. It's like, oh, it's nice and comfortable in the desert right now during the wintertime. Well, let's just do the desert shows in the winter, and then in the summertime. But then you're probably also competing with other people. I don't know. I don't know how it would work if I was a touring comedian, but yeah, I do like it when they're doing so well that they can expand to, like really remote places like, um, higher cities of Washington or like Bangor, Maine or something like that, So it doesn't happen often, but I do like when they do. So yeah, Alton Brown's going to be relatively close to the area, so we're looking forward to that. So that's going to be a blast. And yeah, other than that, I appreciate you. Keep making better, and I will make sure to catch you next week.